I am thrilled to present to you today a connection that I have seen, a passionate theory that I have created with the intent of sharing the identity of this particular thing to you today in this video. Hello and welcome to the Ponderings of Pete. I am your mad theorist Pete here tonight, and we're going to talk some Cosmere stuff. If you are unaware, the Cosmere is Brandon Sanderson's interconnected series of works, including the Stormlight Archive, Mistborn, Warbreaker, Elantris, and a host of other short stories, and a random comic book collection called The White Sand. This video will contain spoilers for the Stormlight Archive up through Rhythm of War, as well as the short story Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell, as I will be using some things from that kind of short story, as well as the paragraph in Arcanum Unbounded about the Threnody system, if you could not tell from the title. So, if you have not read those or acquainted yourself with those, I would suggest you watch this after you have done so. I also will be using resources called Words of Brandon, or WOBs, which I will link down below. One of them contains spoilers for Warbreaker, and the rest of them are really just Stormlight spoilers. So with that knowledge, I hope you will come join me when you have acquainted yourself with all those things, and we'll talk about them. I also will kind of recap things if you haven't read any of these things in a while. So don't worry about immediately reading those before the video, because I'm going to try to be slightly informative about this. So without further ado, let's talk about this crazy theory I have. I'm going to talk about the thrill today, specifically the origins of the thrill. Ever since Rhythm of War came out and Raboniel was trying to corrupt or unmake the sibling, this kind of thought process of where the thrill came from has been running through my head. In fact, I think there's been various thought processes on what if none of the Unmade originally came from Odium. And I can't talk about the other ones or where they came from, but I can specifically talk to my thoughts on where the thrill came from. We do have a wob saying that there are splinters of Odium, but I do have thoughts on that, which I will address at the very end. But we don't know when they came to Roshar, whether they were created on Roshar, etc. One of the big things that triggered this, of course, is the color of the thrill. The thrill is red, which Brandon has said before multiple times that red is the color of corrupted investiture. That there's an outside influence causing that investiture just not to be how it was originally. And that red is a significant color in the Cosmere, and that he does things with the color red. So the color red of the thrill doesn't just indicate, oh, blood rage. I believe it also indicates that the thrill is corrupted investiture that may not have originally come from Odium. It is a spren-like entity that Odium was like, ooh, cool, that thing's cool, I want it. As you might have guessed, I think it came from Threnody. I would like to say that it was originally a splinter of ambition. In the Threnody system, we know that at some point, ambition was chased by Odium into the system, about which time Odium mortally wounded ambition, and chunks of ambition investiture just showered the entire system. Specifically, it affected the planet of Threnody. And there was actually an entity on Threnody that we know very, very little about. This entity is called the Evil, because everything about Threnody is just metal and emo and just great. Well, what do we precisely know about the Evil? Let's go back to what we know about the Threnodites. They originally lived on two different continents, the Big Continent and the Little Continent, with a bunch of forests on it. After Odium was mortally wounded, we know that a entity called the Evil began to manifest on the larger continent, causing humanity to migrate towards the smaller continent with the weird, rabid, cognitive shadow shades and all the forests. And specifically, the information that we have, which is given to us by Naz, and then Chris talks about it in the Arcanum Unbounded, is that it is a creeping darkness consuming the souls of men. And Chris specifically says she's not sure if this is literal or metaphorical. And I would like to put forth that it's mostly metaphorical. I put forth that the Thrill, or proto-thrill in this case, was primarily a corruptive entity who connected to the inside the hearts and souls of men and caused them to live out their most ambitious dreams. Somewhat similar to Ashtermarn in the sense that it was, hey, we're going to be gluttons now. So the Thrill, or Nergal, I don't actually know how to pronounce the name, but it's fine, is somebody who just pushes and drives entities forward. So after the Thrill, or Nergal, decides to consume all the souls of everybody on this planet, or specifically just on the large continent, Odium comes back, and he's double checking that there are no splinters of ambition that could rise up and challenge him, because ambition is a threat to Odium. And he finds Nergal. Still a weird word to say. And he thinks, oh, this is a cool new toy. I'm gonna take it for my own. At this point, he corrupts Nergal to become a splinter of Odium. And there are one or two ways this could happen. Depends on how corruption actually works. He takes this and he just punts it off to Roshar at this point in time to have some fun with it. And of course, this all kind of ties in with all the other plans that Odium had, which is a long list of random things like creating a training field that's basically just a bunch of people killing each other, as well as trying to splinter honor and cultivation. Thrill, originally a splinter of ambition. How does this fit with the wob that says, oh, the Unmade, they're just splinters of Odium? Let me tell you, corruption. This is a thing. We know it's a thing that Odium can do. We know he's done it before. We witnessed the sibling being attempted to be unmade in terms of corruption. And so there's two ways that this could work. One is what I call the Ship of Theseus way, I guess. Essentially, corruption could work in a way that ties in with this other wob right here that says that in order to convert investiture from Stormlight to breaths, you would have to kind of dilute it down to its purest form. So essentially, you would have to dilute the Thrill in this case, or all the investiture involved with Thrill, down to a purish form to turn it into Odium's investiture. Which I'm not sure this is the case, but it's possible. So essentially, it would replace every single bit of ambition that is within Nergal and just completely wipe it out and just make it into Odium. Turn it into Odium. In which case, it would also change its habits, of course, because it would no longer be completely ambition-driven. It would be driven by Odium, or, division, hatred, whatever you want to call it. It would be driven by, hi, let's fight. And I think that the combination of passion and fighting, of passion and greed, if there's any essence of ambition left, kind of makes sense a little bit. Going into my second theory is what I would call the dual splinter theory. I haven't found anything that really says this can't be done, and I think it's a question that should be asked of Brandon at some point. Can a splinter be of two shards? I think it can be, because I think we have the sibling, again, as an example of this, because the sibling is referred to, I believe, as a child of honor and cultivation. So if a spren can fall under this category, why would a splinter not be able to also be of two shards and combined from two shards? So in this case, corruption would not just involve erasing the original intent, but in addition to it, which I think would actually make more sense. That corruption is almost an injection of Odium's investiture into the entity, the splinter in this case, in a sense that it changes the nature of the entity because of the addition of the intent, as well as the old intent somewhat staying. I do think that this kind of is the best theory, in my opinion, better than the Ship of Theseus one, because it ties more in with Sja-Nat's enlightenment, because they're still they still provide the same powers in enlightenment, or similar powers, they're just changed. So they're not technically changing completely, but they're changing some. That is my thoughts on where the Thrill came from. Let me know what you think of this very outlandish theory, because there are a lot of assumptions I make in this theory. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to get some rest. Have a great night.